So I know when I talk about this, I sound a little bit psycho, but the reality is I can't stand having a boss. I can't have somebody telling me what to do and how to use my time. I know it's a little bit of a weakness for me, but at the same time, it's also been a strength. It's allowed me to go and, as an alternative, have to go and be my own boss in a sense and do my own thing. And now, that phrase I just said, be my own boss, that's my new enemy. In the past year, I've gotten this insight that a lot of the times when I'm not doing stuff, it's because I feel like I have to do it. I have another video about turning your want-tos into have-tos and how that's toxic. But actually, I've been realizing that being my own boss actually frustrates me as well. I don't feel free if the guy I was yesterday is telling me what the guy I am today is supposed to do. For example, if I made a task list yesterday and now today I have to do those tasks, who the hell are you, John of yesterday, to tell me, John of today, what I'm supposed to do with my time? Screw you. I don't know you. You're not me anymore. I'm me now. I know that's where maybe it sounds a little bit psycho, but the reality is I live in this moment today, and the things that I created in the past, if it's too much, it feels like a burden. It feels like I'm bossing myself around. I don't want to boss myself around. I don't want to be the boss of my own time. And when I think of the word time management, the word management irks me too. I don't want to be managed. I don't want to be controlled. It's like the psycho freedom thing, right? But I don't want it. And so for me, I like to use the word time leadership. And over the past year, I've been creating a concept using a bunch of different ideas I've found in different places in my own experiments called time leadership, which is distinct from time management. And so leadership versus management, what's the difference? Well, for me, management is about controlling, using force, using systems to make things happen. Okay, a lot of control. Where leadership is a little bit more, it's a little bit more free. It's saying, I'm going to give you some inspiration, I'm going to set some goals, I'm going to give you some things to aim for, and I'm going to allow you in your own inspiration and space to go and do those things. I'm going to trust you a little bit more. And so over the past year, I've stopped managing my time, and I've started leading my time. And so I want to give you a little bit of insight into how I'm doing this. Now, I used to have super duper technologically advanced task management systems. One of my favorite ones was Remember the Milk. It's a great system. I used to contextualize my tasks using the whole get stuff done kind of philosophy, where tasks based on location, based on activity, based on project, all different ways of categorization, different systems for prioritization. I mean, I was a task master. I used to have a web development company. I used to have to task and delegate for my developers, and I did the same to myself. I created systems that I had to live in. The system for yesterday was the thing I lived in today. I was managing my time. I was my own boss. And I'm not saying it's not effective. Look, if you're a guy who's lazy or a woman who's lazy and you've got no internal motivation, no inspiration, and you're just sitting around doing nothing, then some management and control might be useful for you. I'm not talking about that. I might take people that are lazy into that place, but the people I work with now, they're usually functional, they're motivated, they're inspired, they get stuff done. I mean, it's like me. I'm a rocket without wings, and I'll keep going. It doesn't matter if I have a direction or not. And so direction's important, but getting me to move isn't really the challenge. This isn't about getting me to move. This is not about getting you to move. It's about getting you to be effective in that movement and to not feel stifled and have your creativity stifled by being your own boss and managing your time. Okay? And so the transition away from that stuff has been towards the freedom of not having a to-do list at all. I don't even have task management anymore. I've unsubscribed from Remember the Milk. Don't have a paper to-do list. I mean, and when I talk to people about this, well, how do you remember what to do? And that was my fear too. I would forget all this stuff. Stuff would slide through the cracks. And you know what? When you're going 100 miles an hour and you've got a million things to do, and that stuff's all on a list, but it's also in your cognition and it's weighing you down, stuff does slip through the cracks. But when you stop using these systems and you stop having so many things that you have to do managing your time, you actually remember the stuff that's most important. That's most important. That's most important. And there's the key. One of the other benefits of letting go of task management completely is in that space and that remembering, you remember what's most important, and then you act on those things. What happens when you act on the things that are most important? You create more impact. You're more effective. We get distracted by our lists. We get distracted by our to-do systems. Now, how do I lead my time? Because it's not just time nothing, it's time leadership, right? And so I have an awareness that I have things that I want to create in my life, these things that are probably going to be the same tomorrow as they were today. But I'm not going to say specifically this specific task is something that I'm going to do tomorrow. I'm not going to say I'm going to call this person and talk to them about this thing, or I'm going to write this particular thing. for my copywriting, whatever like that. I'm not going to do that because that's too much specificity that feels like, even though right now it might seem like a good idea, tomorrow when I read it, I don't want to do that. I'm not inspired to do that right now. And so I'm not going to do that. And when I talk about this, I know some of you might be thinking, well, if I don't do the things that I have to do, then will I ever get them done? Look, again, this is for people that have motivation and inspiration. You're going to keep moving, you're going to keep doing. And it's also for people that are willing to trust their intuition, their own inspiration will guide them to do the things that are most important and most effective. So, what do I do? How do I use time leadership? I commit time in my day to showing up for particular things, projects. Big picture, a little bit more abstract. For example, I will show up for an hour to write. What am I going to write? I don't know. Do I have to write a certain amount or a certain thing? No. All I have to do is show up and write. I have another video called Learning to Sail in Life. I talk about blocking out time and showing up in that time. I put time in my calendar, 8 to 9 a.m., write. I can write whatever I want. It can be writing, working on my book. It can be writing, working on a blog post. It can be writing an email to the people in my Hero Club. I can be writing copy for a talk. I can be just brainstorming. I can be free writing. I can be anything. I just have to write. And the specific thing I decide to write comes from that moment. I'll talk about that more in a second. I might block out time to work on client creation for my business. And that might mean brainstorming. It might be sitting in the cafe, drinking a coffee, thinking about clients, even potential clients or current clients. It might be actually reaching out and calling people. It might be sending an email out to a specific potential client. Doesn't matter what the specific thing is, just that I'm showing up in that time and allowing the specific tasks and actions to arise from within. Again, I'm going to talk more about that in a second. I might block out time in my calendar for fitness. Some days that means I'm going to go to the gym, 2 hours today, fitness. Go to the gym, stretch, mobility. Some days it's at home, working on handstands or whatever I'm doing, stretching. But there's that time, and it's blocked out. And whatever I feel like doing in that time, as long as I show up in that time, then that's what I do. It reminds me of that thing I've heard that at Google, there's 1 day a week or something where they get to just do whatever they want to do. But that day is dedicated to that time to do that thing. So it's leadership. I'm creating space. We create space for ourselves to show up and allow our inspiration to guide us. It's about creation. It's about trusting that deep down you know what's most important and you will live that as long as you don't put pressure on yourself. That's the catch-22. As soon as you remove the pressure, you actually do work more effectively. That's the paradox of managing yourself makes you less effective. I know when I say that, it doesn't make any sense on some level because managing yourself does make you more effective to a point. One of the best concepts I learned from my coach last year was that thing that has given you the success up to this point, the thing that's been fundamental in your success up to this point, is now that thing that's holding you back from the next level of success. That's a huge, powerful concept. But anyway, time management might have been the thing that gave you success up to a certain point. And then managing your time will become the thing that limits you from a next level of success. And that's what I'm talking about today. I'm not talking about throwing away time management. I'm talking about transcending it to time leadership. And so all three of these things I've talked about blocking out time for, and I talked about inside that time, allowing that thing to arise from within, very ambiguous kind of airy-fairy talk. What does that mean to arise from within? Well, you will get a sense of what the thing is that you want to do, right? There's that desire. But you can also ask yourself questions in that space. I've showed up for writing. What the specific question you ask will guide the things that come to you. So what would I love to write about today? That's the one where I usually start. What would I love to do today? Because I've found that allowing the thing that I most love to guide me comes from an even deeper place of coherence along with what my true purpose and my path is. If I just ask myself what would I love and I do that and I just trust that doing the things that I love over and over again will create a path towards achievement, that I actually find out that it works. Now that sounds it's a little bit of a leap of faith for people that haven't been just acting what they love over and over again with consistency to see the coherence in hindsight. However, you can ask a more specific question. What would I like to do right now that doing would have the most impact on my life or my business? What would I love to do that would have the most impact on my business? Or what could I do that would have a great amount of impact on my business or my life? And see, the way I'm asking this question is about the impact of completing the task. how much impact that would have on my business. Not how hard it is or how long would it take or anything like that. It's because sometimes something really simple will have a big impact. And sometimes things that would happen really quickly will have a big impact. And so I'm asking the question to orient prioritization based on the output of me completing that task, not the input that goes into it. So these are different ways. My favorite, personal, is what would I love to do? Trusting that love consistently, repeatedly, over time, will carve a path in my life and in my business that's coherent and most effective and most productive. But if you're not ready to trust that yet, then start playing with it. What would I like to do? Give yourself some options that would have impact on my business when I complete it. And just go with that. There's such a freedom in just creating space, committing space in your calendar, committing time, because the power of commitment is profound. Committing time in your calendar to show up for something, for my writing, for my client creation, for my fitness, for my health, for this thing that I'm learning. Whatever it is, don't get too specific. Leave it as a conceptual project, a thing. Show up in that time and just sit. And sometimes you won't know what that thing is. I don't know. Well, don't force yourself. Don't drop into time management. Try to control yourself. Well, I should do this. Forget the shoulds. You shouldn't do anything. You can do whatever you want. Look, if you're saying, if I do whatever I want, I'll get nothing done, test it. If you get nothing done, then you're not ready to move the time leadership yet. There's times where I need to manage my time and control myself into moving because I've got really lethargic. Let's be honest, we all get in that place. But if you're at a place where you are inspired, you do have motivation, and you sometimes feel stifled by your own management systems, you're controlling yourself, you're being your own boss, let go a little bit. Scale back. Allow yourself to lead your time. Time leadership is the next level. Bigger, better, more profound, more effective than time management. If you have questions, leave them down below. Specific questions, I will respond by video. If you have any comments about this idea, things that you've experienced by trying it out, I'd love to hear it as well. Please share. I look forward to hearing from you. Much love.